Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video today. Today we are going to take a look at my budget for December 23rd, the week of the 23rd, so really the last full week in December, and then take a look at my January budget, so for the first week in January. So yeah, let's just review how things went for that last week, which was a big week because that was the week of Christmas. Okay, so I have my expense trackers over here and my common category trackers on the left hand side. Keep in mind that I designed my budget system to be a cashless budget system, but still replicate the use of cash envelopes. So I'll talk about that a little bit in this video, and then really in every video I mention that probably. So let's take a look at how things went for the week of Christmas. I didn't have as many expenses as I had earlier in the month, which is great, and that makes sense because I was finished buying gifts. I didn't have any last minute gifts or anything like that I needed to buy. I did okay with my common categories. Let me focus on eating out right here. I did put a little bit more money than normal for dining out, and if you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm trying to get this as low as possible. It's just been so busy since November that I've been way over in this category, and I just don't want that to happen. But I also knew that with family and friends visiting that this would go up for this particular week. And I'm happy to say it did go up, but it really didn't go up as nearly as much as I thought. I budgeted $30 and I only spent about $24, so that was pretty good. We did a lot of eating at home. Basically, I had my brother and his family. I had a couple of my nieces from my sister. They all stayed for like the entire week. And so it turned out that my sister's kids ended up going out with my brother's kids a lot of the time. And I just didn't have to buy as much takeout food as I thought, which was really, really good. The other area that was a little bit elevated was the household section, which makes sense, right? Because you have, 6 extra people at home for, over a week. So you're going to need to buy more paper goods, more cleaning supplies, more things for the house. So I'm not upset about that at all because that makes complete sense. My transportation was a little bit higher too. That's basically gas. Because with, teenagers in the house, they need to go places, or you need to go places to get things for them. And so I had to buy a little bit more gas during the week. But overall, I think I did really well in those budgets for the common categories. You will notice that I'm still working on my highlighting. I think I have it nailed down for the beginning of the year, which is great. But yeah, not many expenses to go over. The one thing that I will point out is that I did make a transfer to one of my challenges, the 30-day challenge of $360, because I have a New Year's Eve vacation and I was saving for that. And so the way I track this, again, I try to replicate the cash envelope system. If I was using cash envelopes, I would probably have a savings challenge with a cash envelope of vacation savings, but I don't do that. So I notate the transfer on my expense tracker, and then I have a challenge page because I like to make it fun, just like everybody else. And so whenever I make a deposit into my sinking and challenge funds savings account, I update it on my tracker so that I have a visual, and I have already done that. And then I have a sinking and challenge savings account where I track all the deposits into that savings account. And I just put the date, the category, this is a challenge, and the name of the challenge and how much I deposited, and then the balance. And so this is how I'm replicating the cash envelope system. This account frequently goes to zero because it's just like if you were to have an envelope that you're taking money out of, right? So it's a temporary holding spot, basically. And it's just replicating an envelope pretty much. So money goes in and out of this account all the time, depending on what challenge I'm saving for. So I've already updated that. And that one is done. I'm also going to go back to the beginning of my planner because one way that I keep track of my sinking and challenge goals or activities, and I know when they're complete, is when I mark it as done. So this one is done. I didn't reach the goal of $3,000, but that's okay. It is complete, and I just put the date of January 1st because that's when I'm traveling. But this challenge is done. So that wraps up my December budget. Let's take a quick look at the first week in January, because I have already done the budget for the first for the month actually, and I have set up the first week. So let's look at the budget for January. What I want to do is just talk about a few of the changes that I've made, and then I think in the next video I'm going to go into detail about setting up my January monthly and my annual for 2025. But today I just want to take a look at how I've set up the financial piece of my budget and how I've set up the first week, which is what we're heading into as I film this video. So January monthly budget, what you will notice here is that I have a lot more expenses listed. The reason for that is I am starting to use my categories more efficiently. I've spoken about that over the past couple of months as I've kind of tested it out. And now that I've tested it out, I know what categories I'm going to use. And so my bills and expenses are broken out a lot more. In previous months, I probably would have just had one line item that said personal. And then next thing you know, I'm over budget in personal because I didn't, efficiently account for all of those categories that actually are falling into personal. So that's why there are more line items here. I also want to point out that I have a business expense line item. So I'm still working on how to keep track of my business expenses. I've mentioned this in a couple of other videos, but I started a business at the end of October. It's a genealogy research business. And it's not self-sustaining yet, right? So I'm still funding it out of my personal accounts. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's funding itself. So what that means is I need to account for that in my personal budget. And I'm kind of struggling a little bit on how I'm going to do that. I believe what I'm going to do moving forward is have one line item for business expense. And then in my business planner, that's where I will break down those expenses over there. And so all I need to track in my personal budget is how much money I personally funded to my business that month. That's all I need to track. So for January, it's a little bit all over the place because I have some of my business expenses mixed in. But February, moving forward, it'll just be one line item. So that's one change that I've made for January 2025. Okay, so the next part of my January monthly budget is that I do a monthly cash flow. I've spoken about this before. For me, it's really important to see money coming in and out every week, not just at the monthly level. Now, some people do weekly paycheck budgets, like a whole budget for a weekly paycheck or for their week. That's too much for me. It's just too much for me. It's a great system if that's what you want to use. But I can't do all of this every week. I'll stop doing my budget because it's overwhelming. But I have these mini budgets. There's 4 on this page, 2 front and back. And in the mini budget, I can just easily see my cash flow by putting my major expenses and my major payouts to myself. And I don't have a detailed breakdown of it. I just see what is most critical for me for that week and what the cash flow looks like. And that's much more manageable for me. I set this up at the monthly level. I do make some adjustments as the month goes through, but when I set up my monthly budget, I also set up my anticipated cash flow. So that is set up for January for 4 weeks. Technically, there are 5 weeks in January, and so what I did for that 5th week is I went to my summary page, which I'll go over in just a minute, and I just made a January 27th week here. But yeah, if you have this printable, what you can do is just print a second page and put it in here if you want to have a full 5th week. Okay, so I have a bills and expenses page. This is a specialty page. It's not available in my printable, but the good news is I am making this page available for free for anyone who joins my Patreon at any level. You can get this page for free. It's not going to have the dates because the dates are related to my own bills, but so it'll be a blank version that will look like this. See, you still have the lines here and the decor, but it's just blank. Okay, so, but I use this at the beginning of my months because it helps me to just know the due dates when I'm filling out my monthly calendar, when I'm doing my cash flow for all of my bills and expenses. So I just like to have a specialty page. It's on cardstock so that it's durable, and I literally just I take it from month to month. It's in January now. It'll be in February when February gets here. I actually am going to redo that page because that kind of has 2024 information, and I do have some changes for 2025. Okay, so my monthly summary. This is a page that I do at a very high level, and I really do it so that I can take my monthly summary page. I make a classic size version of this, and I just duplicate it, and I put this in my catch-all, right? I don't get into a lot of detail, but this is a Happy Planner Big. I don't have my budget planner sitting on my desk or my work desk because I work a 9 to 5, so there's not enough room to have a budget planner that is 8.5 by 11 sitting on my work desk at home. I do have my catch-all planner sitting there though. So that's my daily planner, right? And when I decorate my catch-all, I like to put any major bills coming up for that week. So instead of having to like go from room to locate this budget planner, which is sitting in my craft room, you know, like every time I need to reference something, I have kind of this cheat sheet that I put into my catch-all planner, and that's how that works. So I filled it out. I will do a duplication of it here and move this to my catch-all. And then for the first week, my first week is set up. It starts on the 30th. I have my common category budgets already identified and how much I want to hopefully spend for that week. I am traveling on vacation for the week of the for most of the 30th, the week of the 30th, because I'm going on a New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day trip. So my eating out is a lot more for this week because I will probably eat out, just coming and going more so than I normally would. I kept my grocery bill to $50. My personal amount is $20. Transportation, I have built that into my travel budget, so I have no I won't have any gas costs that I need to record here, and same as entertainment, that's in my travel budget. I do have some bills that are still coming out toward the end of the week, so I've listed those there, and I will be back like Friday, so I still need to eat over the weekend, so I have a light meal plan as well. I use this area. This is it's like a 7-day habit tracker. I use it for no spend. So every week I have something that I say I'm not going to spend money on. So this week is Amazon. Trust me, Amazon does not need to see me for a couple more weeks, okay? Because me and Amazon had too close of a relationship during the holidays, and I'm over it. So no Amazon for me for this week. I can't do it too long because I do have a slight Amazon addiction, but hey, I'm gonna do what I can. This is gonna be an easy week because I'll be out of town. So that's why I chose to no Amazon. And I'm just ready to start tracking my expenses for the week. And that is the setup for December 30th, or the week of December 30th. So there are a couple of things I want to talk to you about before I close this video. One, as you know, this planner is available as a printable. It is linked down below. In 2024, I only had it available in the big size. So when I post this video, it will also be available in the Happy Planner Classic size if you're interested. And so I'm going to make some updates to my Etsy listing so that you can, when you buy it, you have the option of printing it as a classic size or big. So yeah, definitely check it out if you're interested. I also want to show you quickly how to print these pages, because I get a couple of questions about that. So how to print pages and how to cut them. And so I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of cutting and punching a couple of key pages, right? So let's say you bought the planner on Etsy and you want to print it and set up your budget planner. I use a Happy Planner big size, so it's 8.5 by 11. I don't have to cut these pages when they print. They're going to print at 100% and they're going to be the perfect size. What I do need to do though is I need to punch them. So this is an example of an 8.5 by 11 because this is the size planner that I use. I printed this. This is a custom page. Remember, this is available if you join my Patreon. Even on the free level, this will be available to you for free. It will be available to all tiers. So the link will be down below. But this is 8.5 by 11. So all I need to do is take my Happy Planner punch. So I line it up with the marks here, insert it, punch it. This is ready to go into my planner. As simple as that. So print it 100%. And if you're using a Happy Planner Big or an 8.5 by 11, that's literally all you need to do to set up this budget planner. Buy the printables, print them out, punch them, put them into your planner. Now, let's say you're going to buy the Happy Planner Classic size. If you buy the Happy Planner Classic size, when you print your pages, you're going to need to trim them first. Now, I try to put cut marks on all of my printables. Some of them don't have them, but I'm trying to go back and make sure they all do. So the cut marks give you a guide for where to print. Because if I'm going to offer a Happy Planner Classic size printable, that means I designed it to be that size. But when you print it out on your home computer, it's going to print on a normal size piece of paper. So an 8.5 by 11 regular size paper, but it prints smaller so that you can cut it out. That's how that works. And you have these little cut marks at each corner that kind of tells you where you're supposed to cut. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use these cut marks, or how I use them. Because I'm not really good at measuring things. I'm going to be honest with you. That's not my forte. And I make a lot of planner inserts, but I'm just not great. I can't draw a straight line using a ruler. That's how bad I am. So I'm going to give you some tips that help me. So I usually use the cut marks to make my first cut. Right? So here are the cut marks. Right, the vertical line is going to be my first cut mark when I'm cutting for, I guess this would be height. So this needs to be 9 1/4. So I'm going to use this cut mark to tell me where I need to make my first cut. And I'm going to cut off the top of the page. I like to start at the top. That way, if I make a mistake, I tend to make it at the bottom if my cut is a little bit off, and I don't notice that as much. So when you're using the cut marks, what you want to do is cut off. Don't go too far below the cut mark. Cut right below that vertical line, right? Like literally as close to that as you can. Okay, so now if you notice, I pretty much cut off right at that vertical line. Okay, so my next cut though, I'm going to measure it using my trimmer. So I know that this needs to be 9 1/4 in height. So I'm not using the bottom cut mark really, I'm measuring. So I'm lining this up with 9 1/4, come in, and I'm gonna cut it, right? Measuring to me is basically a guaranteed way that it's going to be the right size. I just use the cut marks as a initial guide. So now I'm going to cut this down to 7. Cut mark is here. I am going to cut the cut mark off as close as I can to the edge of the cut mark, just like I did at the top. I like to start on the punch side for this one. Same reason, if I make an error, you know, it's kind of where do I notice the error most? And I cut it off. Notice cut mark here. I cut it off as close to that cut mark as I could. I'm going to do the same thing, turn it around, and I'm going to measure. Now, I'm not going to use the second cut mark. I'm going to measure at 7 inches because that's what it needs to be, right? Cut it. So now I have a printable that is 7 by 9 1/4. And this side isn't even straight the way it's supposed to be. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. I know it's the right size because I measured it. So I'm good with it. And I won't notice that because it's on the punch mark side. That's why I start on the punch mark side. Okay, so now what you have to do, guys, all you have to do is take this Happy Planner classic size that you've trimmed down and use your punch. Line it up with one of the white lines. See, I'm lining it up with this line. If I lined it up with this line, it would still punch, you know, correctly. You just want to make sure that it's not like in the between the lines. So line it up with one of your lines. I like to use the second line just from habit for classic size stuff. And then just punch it. And there you go. Right? Now it's ready to kind of pop into your planner. And you are good to go. So that is how you print this budget planner or any planner insert that you get. The last thing I will say is make sure that when you're printing, your printer is set to print at 100% or actual size, because your printer is probably going to automatically try to enlarge your image if you are printing the Happy Planner classic size stuff, because that's just what it wants to do. So make sure that you're printing on 100% or actual size, right? And then it's going to print at the size it was designed, which is Happy Planner Classic, if that's what you want to print at, and you'll be able to trim it, cut it, and punch it. So that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for watching this review of my first week of January's budget, and I am looking forward to having a great year in 2025. All of the planner inserts are linked below. The link to the Patreon is linked below as well. And any tools I use, I'll try to link those as well. So thanks so much. Have a good day.